In this video, I am going to show you how we can connect Spring Boot application with the backend MySql database. First, we will perform certain SQL query like create a database. Then we have other queries like show tables. Select with the help of that we can see all the records inside the table. After that, we create entity class, controller, service DAO, and configuration class. In the property files, application.property files, we will configure few things like username, password, driver class, URL, and with the help of this Hibernate properties, when we mention update here, it will create a table of our entity class inside the database. After that, we have three dependencies: Spring Web, Spring Data JPM, MySQL connector. So we will do this. So let's implement. So first I will open Eclipse IDE here. So I already have opened. So there is a project I have created uh, with the name Spring JDBC, and inside that this is the main file. Now I'll create our entity class. I name it as computer. I name it as computer is or entity. I will annotate it with the entity annotation. Import package. I will take a two property of computer entity. One is brand, another is RAM. So it may be 8 GB or 12 GB. We'll import getter and setter. Go to source, then getter and setter. Select all. Constructor, because I will pass value with the help of constructor using field, constructor with the superclass, and the important is toString method. So this is our entity class. Now I will make a controller class. I name it as my controller. I annotate it as REST controller. Because this is the REST API. Now I will create a one microservice here, public. So it will return the object of our entity class, which is computer, and I make it as set data. It will return the object. So I will annotate it as PostMapping. Import package. Inside this, I will fire Inside this, I will uh, fire hello there. So now I will create one interface which extend JP repository. Name it as that is our DAO class. So I name it as computer DAO. This is our interface. It will extend JPA repository. JPA JPA repository. And inside that we pass two things. One is our entity and the mm, data type of primary key. In my case, data type is string and yes, import package. So now I will create a service class here, which is our interface class, which is our interface. I name it as computer service. Actually, to annotate this interface in the controller class, so I needed to uh, auto-wire this computer service interface here. With the help of auto-wire annotation, it will provide us object. Yes, we can name as set computer details. I will create a method with the name set computer details. So same method I will. This will implement our. So this configuration class will implements our service class. You can see that we have various methods which help us to uh, get, set, and delete data from database, which is save, delete, and in the application.property file we will configure here as first is our username, so which is a spring dot data source dot username. Yes, my username is root, the same as password. Spring dot data source dot password. Password is also root. Now I will configure here driver class and URL. Spring dot data source dot driver class name. So my driver class name is com.mysql dot cg dot JDBC dot driver. So this is capital D, I think. Now I will configure URL here. Spring dot data source dot URL spring dot data source dot URL. My URL is JDBC MySql MySql localhost port number 3306 slash then database name. So I will create a database with the name as Spring JPA. This is my database name. So I will create now one more thing, which is our Hibernate property, which is a Spring dot Hibernate dot DDL auto. Mention update here. It will create. mm, I have a MySQL command line. New database I will create database and the database name I give as Spring JPA. JPA. Yes, you can show databases. Yes, this is Spring JPA. This is PostMapping, right? And yeah, everything is fine. Now I will go to the service class. Yes, I will annotate it as service. Service class. Then we have a computer DAO, JpaRepository, and one more thing. In the entity class, there is an annotation called as ID. It will make our brand property as primary key. So this is fine. Now in the mm, computer configuration. So yes, everything is fine. So let's try to execute this. So yes, it is, I think, successfully compiled. Let's open Postman here. It is open. It is running on localhost port 8080 slash we pass my controller. I will fire hello. and this is my post request. Click on send. So yes, you will get data in a response. Now I will check in database. So we perform. Now I will check in a database. First we will use Spring JPA. Yes, show tables. Yes, computer name. Yes, it has created the table with the name computer, which is our entity. Then you can see data voice select command. Yes, so you can see that our data has been inserted successfully. So that's it in this video. In the further video, we will perform uh, get mapping, then delete mapping.